Greetings and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live look in. Yes, indeed. So this will be some footage of me playing from a first-person perspective. You'll be able to see my mouse pointer and every single click and order I give. I guess this is a resource for newer players out there. I would by no means recommend this to more advanced players or, you know, like top-level players or anything because I'm just not that good. But I do have a lot of the fundamentals of the game down, and I have been playing for long enough that I feel like I generally know what I'm doing. And, you know, I do have some success on the ladder. So anyway, right now, the game's loading. I'm just checking out, seeing what my opponents have, just trying to figure out the early units. Like, if I see guard squads from one of them, then I know he's gone for this particular doctrine, so I know to expect, you know, X and Y in the late game or something like that. So I'm just kind of making some mental notes here. Now, my ally here, Idlewood, he's somebody who I met on the ladder not so long ago. We played and got on quite well, and he sent me a friend request, and we've been hitting the ladder for a few games every so often. Now, he's quite good. I'd say he's definitely a better player than I am. I don't know how this keeps happening. I keep getting like tagged up with better players, and they basically carry me. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, so this game, this was our first game together on the ladder, so anyway, initial build order now. After the December the 3rd patch, I initially used to go for a Kubelwagen first and then 2 squads of Volks, but I realised actually it's better to get those Volks out first because then they're on the front line when those first few fights come out, or at least they're more often on the front line when those first few fights come out. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of StarCraft 2 recently, which is why you can see I'm just spamming APM and flicking the camera around like a noob. It's just, you know, something I get used to doing from StarCraft 2. You're kind of constantly pushing buttons in StarCraft 2, so I guess I'm just used to doing that a little bit now. Anyway, so capping the fuel point first with those Storm Pioneers, then I know I can connect it up with the Volks Grenadiers, and this will give me some bonus fuel income faster and allow those Storm Pioneers to get further forwards on the field by going for the slower to capture but furthermost point, the fuel point there, and playing it defensive, capping that point at the very far back, like in the capture zone with the Storm Pioneers, because I don't want them to take any unnecessary rifle shots by being further forward, at least until they've got some supporting forces. Second squad of Volks Grenadiers on the way, so the build order was Volks into Wagen into Volks, so now the Kubelwagen's just going to move on into position. Kubelwagen's got decent line of sight and it's quite mobile, so I like to position that far ahead. It lets me know what's coming. You can see on the minimap my ally just now made first contact with the Russian opponents there. And here's the Kubelwagen. It's going to find some engineers, which is more than happy to take on, so I'll just leave that chewing into them. These Volks Grenadiers are going to move forward, and all they're doing at the moment is looking for a Maxim that could be running in, because I don't want the Maxim to get into a nice building, so I'm just checking for it, and if I see a Maxim, then I know to put all my units in the buildings and stop them from getting in. Now we've got a fight coming, and I'm going to put down a ping. I'm telling my opponent that I've got like quite a few squads on me, but you know, nothing. He says they are spamming because they're noobs. Well, there we go. Anyway, those Storm Pioneers going to take the fight from heavy cover at point-blank range. Pretty ideal, really, with the supporting fire from the Volks. That's looking like quite a nice fight. The Kubelwagen has completed the cap on that point, so I'm going to send it left. No point sending it to deal with those conscripts. They're already covered by the Volks and the Storm Pioneers that I have there. Storm Pioneer is going to close up to point blank and start trading with those conscripts. I kind of had in mind that I was going to have to fall back the squad by committing to this move, but that's okay because I've done reasonably well so far. So falling back some Storm Pioneers, not the end of the world. And just going to wait for... Wow, I actually got a squad wipe there. That's pretty lucky. And there comes the fallback. More than safe there. 2 Storm Pioneers and more than enough health to get out of there. Of course, the truck was built behind all this. Wow, and I'm going to put it down as the medical HQ, it looks like, in that location there. So reasonably aggressive, but not utterly ridiculous, which tends to be my typical style, unless I am feeling ridiculous, which does happen from game to game. So got some Volks Grenadiers up on the middle point there, getting some capturing. This Kubelwagen just going to come forward, see if I can recon what their unit choices are, that kind of thing. As I said, it's very mobile and its line of sight's good, so you can see things coming. Volks Grenadiers here just helping my ally. He's got some foes pinned down by his MG42, so I'm just chipping in some damage there. He's also gone forwards. It looks like he's gone for the mechanised assault doctrine there, as you can tell by the assault Grenadiers that he has. Kubelwagen just getting as much work done as it can, and it's very important to get veterancy on your Kubelwagen out there. Because when it gets to Veterancy 1, it gets the infantry detection ability, which is free and incredibly useful. So that's a good thing. Now, my Storm Pioneers are back at base being reinforced, so this Kubelwagen, I don't want to take very much damage on it just now, because it's going to be a while till it can repair next. Ordinarily, I'd leave that there trading, but given that my Storm Pioneers have fallen back, I'm going to need to look after it a bit more. So that's why I pulled it out of an otherwise favourable engagement with those conscripts, or at least a reasonable engagement anyway. Those Volks Grenadiers, they're sort of waiting in an ambush-ish position. Or Volks Grenadiers, not the best of ambushers. They're no MG, they're no Storm Pioneers, but they can do the job, and I'd rather my opponent didn't know where that squad is, so they're just going to sit there, and that's a useful position, because if my opponent comes to the left or right, those Volks Grenadiers are going to be quite useful. I'm not sending any units to support my friend at the moment, because he's, like, if you look at the minimap, he's pushed well up and he's doing quite well. Volksgrenadiers here just going to be putting some fire on those guys who are constructing, and by forming a gun line with these 2 squads of Volksgrenadiers, you can see that I'm able to get some effective fire down. Note the control groups there, 1 and 2 on left and right squad respectively, and anytime those squads cross over, if squad number 2 crosses over to the left, I will reassign it to 1 and make the right-handmost squad number 2. And I carry that on, so if I have 1, 2, 3, 4 squads of Volksgrenadiers, I rarely go above 3 to be honest, but I carry that on. Because I just it makes it easier for me to control my units. Now, there's a flamethrower. That's going to force me to kite. There's also a large amount of conscripts there, so this is now a kiting situation. Going to have to intercept the Kuba before it gets too far forward, and continue to kite with that unit. So this is me just falling back. Now the forward fallback research has been completed on my half track, so I can now fall back really, really easily with impunity almost. So that was why I fell back that unit of Volksgrenadiers, what seemed to be very early. They were still on 4 men and they could still fight for a while, but I'd rather just reinforce them, get them healed, have them coming back into the fight as soon as possible. Storm Pioneer is going to repair the Kuba, standard stuff there. These Volksgrenadiers going to fight from sandbags, which I believe the Soviet players were kind enough to build me. Just going to clear my throat, sorry. So everything going to plan really here for me, and there's going to be a flak half track coming out. Now, I don't usually go for a flak half track at this timing, but we've been doing so well, and my allies have been doing such a good job of denying them their fuel point. I think we're far enough ahead that I'm not worried about, you know, an Su-76 or a T-70 coming out just yet. So there's a window here for a flak half track to do some good, and I can park it in middle where it'll be able to help my ally and my flank quite nicely. The range on that thing, of course, once it gets set up pretty good. Storm Pioneers in the ambush position now, which the Volksgrenadiers were in earlier. That's going to be better for them. Volksgrenadiers being used as my lights, my sensors, my feelers. I always keep the Volksgrenadiers towards the front because they can take on a variety of targets, so they're always your good first encounter troops if you're playing as overcommand. Here comes that flak half track. These Kuba going to move in to support the Volksgrenadiers. Second squad of Volksgrenadiers now reinforced, going to move back up. If you look at my manpower, I'm probably going to think about getting another truck in the near future. If you look at the fuel as well, I'm creeping up to that level where I'm ready to get one. Haven't chosen a commander yet, of course, because I prefer not to choose a commander until I actually need an ability from one of them. A lot of players just choose a commander because that's what they feel like playing, and that's, you know, their style, or that's how they're just feeling that game, and that's fine. Pretty nice Molotov coming down onto my Storm Pioneers, and that's an instant fallback. Of course, when my forward fallback point isn't that far forward, isn't that far back, it's quite easy to fall back your troops if you feel like it. These Volksgrenadiers just staying for a while, but then they're going to fall back. Now, okay, see, now I just toggled on infantry detection, see all those units on the minimap, and then I turn it off and get the Kuba back, because there's 3 or 4 units coming around that corner, and that's how to use infantry detection on the Kuba. Just turn it on, see what you need to see, then turn it off, because the Kuba is very fragile, and it's very slow with that infantry detection on, so you want to just turn it on, turn it off. That's the way to do it. Reinforcing my units, all pretty standard stuff here. This the flak half track was sent over to help my friend, but there's nothing going on, and I don't want to leave it up against Fog of War when I don't know if there's a Zis gun or something like that setting up, so it's going to move back. Storm Pioneers go to repair the Kuba, Volksgrenadiers spread back out and try and do something useful out there. Be my forward receivers, my forward sensors again. In fact, there's a squad of... Oh no, sorry, and a light gun is the choice behind this. So light gun coming in to provide indirect support. I feel like I'm covered enough for AT with 2 Shreks for now. And this is a big attack. As you can see, there's like maybe 5 or 6 squads of conscripts here just converging on my position. A flash fallback from some of them, which is very unusual. And, pardon me, I'm sure you can tell by now, but these opponents that I'm playing against are not particularly great. So I can tell that this is a situation where I need to kite. So my objective here is to fall back my units in good order, covering each other as best as they can. Now, their Storm Pioneers are suppressed, so they have to fall back. Just trying to take as little damage as possible and then take the fight around my battle group at HQ, where I have a bubble of strength where I can reinforce in the fight. And of course, all this ground that I'm kiting, the light gun is firing in and getting some hits, the Kuba chipping them down, and my Volksgrenadiers are chipping them down as well. So you can see my forces at the back here just reinforcing there. I'm just hitting the reinforce button now. They're going to take up some positions nearby that battle group at HQ, where I'll be able to take a fight from a from a really good position. So also, it seems like many of their squads have decided to stay and capture points, which is fine by me, because I can hoover up these guys and then push back and get those points back very rapidly. There's another fallback from them. Again, I guess they don't want to deal with the flak half-track, which was hit by an anti-vehicle grenade, but it was so close to my engineers and things, they weren't really able to capitalise. Now, there's a Dansack there in a spicy position. That is an issue. If it stays there, it's in range of my HQ, so I put the barrage from the light gun. You just saw that click there. Here comes some flanking Volksgrenadiers. I've queued them up. They're going to flank over this wall here. Storm Pioneers coming in as well. And these guys here, look, there's a fallback just used quickly to get them out of danger. And this is the advantage of having a forward battle group at HQ. You can fall back just to shift position, or of course, when you press fallback, it also makes enemy units de-target them as well. And it also shifts all suppression off of a unit. So you have a lot of advantages when you're fighting close to your battle group at HQ. Fallschirmjäger, there we go, just chose a commander and spawned some Fallschirmjäger right then. So just because I can sense that we're crushing through them and I just need one more unit just to flush through their infantry now. And of course, Fallschirmjägers are pretty potent against infantry. One of the opponents has just quit. They've seen enough, and that's fair enough. I believe that they were. I mean, me and my ally here are clearly overmatched for them. I would say the way this game has gone, and the way just small things you can tell from my opponent's micro and things. I'm just pinging and telling my opponent I'm deploying some medical kits here in case he feels like healing any of his units who are nearby. I'm going to heal 2 of my own units there, just using. That's the meds from the. Storm Pioneers. There's a flamethrower on the floor, so I've shift queued up that to be picked up by the Fallschirmjägers, but oh, what's this? A load of conscripts coming out of Fog of War. So we're just kind of waiting for this other guy to quit now, because he's hardly going to take this fight by himself. Or at least it's very unlikely. And those Fallschirmjägers, they're just going to stay for a quick bundle grenade there. Whoop, and there it is, before they fall back. And there we go, the other one has chosen this moment to surrender. So, a pretty straightforward game there, just demonstrating really some bread and butter techniques and tactics for the Overcommand faction. Nothing spicy. It wasn't a particularly good game for me. It was just simple bread and butter tactics being effective. So I hope that this was a useful video for people who are just kind of picking up the game and have got their first 10 or 20 hours under their belt but are still figuring out the factions or figuring out the tactics and things like that. So yeah, I'd really appreciate your feedback on these live look-ins. If there's anything I didn't talk about that you'd like to know about, or if you think I missed anything, or if you found this video useful as someone who's learning the game, then or you didn't, then please do let me know, because I'm looking to improve these all the time, and that would be really useful. This is me just checking the stats here, nothing particularly to look at here, just having a flick through the old units, and yeah. So that concludes this live look-in. I'll be bringing you another shortly because we did play a couple of games, and for now, this is Magpie 842 signing out.